said, author, speaker, co-founder of the Self Academy and the Expansive Strategic Advisory, Mr. John Sanei. What is up?
What's up? Did you just make a rap song of my bio? Is that what just happened?
You know me, bro.
Exactly. It's never happened to me. So all of a sudden it was rapped to me. That was fantastic. Thank you. How are you, man?
Bro, dude, it's been such a long time. And I was just telling the people that have joined us that we go such a way back. And
wow.
The whole thing when we met, of course, was in the gym and we were training. It was all about, you always were questioning.
Yeah.
You always used to say, you always used to ask me these questions about how.
I did.
And I remember once you said to me in the car, you said, dude, you sound like you're saying things off a sugar packet. And
that's
now,
the way your mind works, right?
To see your journey, bro. I mean, it was like when you're looking back and someone that you had conversations with, that person continued with what you were talking. So nothing I said or nothing we talked about was in vain. For me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm just flashing back quickly. When you told me you couldn't wait for me to meet your mom because your mom was on the same tip. And I met your mom, it was like I knew her already. I just hugged her straight away.
Yeah, I remember.
But you've been on so many ups and downs, and a lot of people don't understand that you came from nothing. All you came from was the seed and this hunger. You're like this little bulldog, and you refused for failure to even be in your sight. You were always
look, I failed badly. Well, I don't know. I think failed. I wrote a piece about we should change the word fail to revelation.
Yeah.
And I had an amazing revelation at 30 years old when I went bankrupt. You know, I'm sure you heard about that. I don't think we were connected, but I lost everything, dude. It was the most horrific thing, man. What?
We all went bankrupt a few times, bro.
Yeah, look, I think it's important to go bankrupt. I think it actually helps you reestablish your relationship and your priority set with money. And also what you were willing to do for it and the sort of, how did it end up to a point where you get to lose not only money and assets, but your name. I was sequestrated. I couldn't even trade under my name, dude. I didn't even own John Sanei. So that was the most, you know, if I thought about it spiritually or like reflectively, it's like, I wasn't allowed to own my name. That's how I lost my name for 6 years from 30 to 36 and only got it back at 36, you know? So yeah, I think failure was never an option, but also the sort of drive not to fail was also an issue because it didn't make me adaptable. It made me scared. And so I think right now is that, you know, you've got to be able to be flowing and sort of an adaptive space. And then you don't really fail because you just can't when you're an adaptive way. You know what I mean? You're always in that flow. Yeah, look, I think that hunger was great. But what I've started to realize, and I think I wrote about it in my second book, is that hunger is also deceptive because what it does, it drives you to have because you don't have. And that sort of line is, the line I used in the book was, are you running away from the darkness or are you running towards the light? And ultimately, when you come from nothing, often what you're trying to do is not be poor again.
Yeah.
And I think what definitely for me, and I think a lot of us that came from nothing and where we had so little, we were just so desperate not to be poor. That was like that was the line, right? And what I've realized, and the more I look at successful people, is they're not running away, they're running towards. Like, I'm excited to build. I'm past survival. And I think when you come from nothing, that switch from survival to creativity is a big one because we all get stuck on this concept that the harder I work, the more I push, the more successful I'll be. But that's not the truth. The truth is the more you're building towards something is the more successful you'll be. Running away from something never gives you the opportunity, the access to energy and creativity you need to actually build. So when I crashed and burned at 30, it wasn't from a lack of hunger. It was from the wrong type of hunger. And I think that's really important for all of us to figure out is what is driving our hunger. Look, the thing for me and also the deeper I dive into it, I didn't have a dad. You know, my dad wasn't around. So like you. And so what we have was this desperate need for acknowledgement. Yeah. It's like, see me, somebody just acknowledge me. And that played out into the type of businesses we started and the energy we started them with. So the big part for me was healing my relationship with my dad, or healing the relationship of my perspective with my dad, so that I can not be desperate for his acknowledgement. And in that same process, I start creating differently, because I'm not waiting for outside somebody to say to me, well done. And we don't even realize we're doing it. And funny thing is, and I was actually laughing about this, was obviously we met each other when we were dancing and we were always out, and there was all those sort of attention on us. Yeah. And now guess what I did? I became a speaker. More attention on me. And it's almost as if even now that I even know that I was driven for that craze for attention, yes, I'm still doing something that needs attention, which is weird, because other people that never had that all got like other jobs and other careers. And you know, if I think back to my restaurant days, I used to have a lot of people come and visit me in my restaurant because of, I guess, the way I take information in and package it and repackage it so I can understand it in my own mind. And I had a lot of people and a lot of friends that I had for 10 years that I made through my restaurants that used to follow me through my restaurants. And when I started speaking, I realized that actually I've always had it. I've just never knew how to monetize it, or didn't understand that it's something I had. And I think that was the most important thing, because the first few times I got on the stage, people were so like, and they still are often, is that they're surprised at what topics I want to connect. And it's just because of my own fascination, right? And so for me, it's like I pop up, but I was kind of always doing it, but I just didn't know how. And then the minute I was able to put it into a book, it all changed. Everything just changed from the minute I finished my first book. So yeah, it's been an incredible ride, because even myself from inside the bubble, I find it often surprising. And the reason the bankruptcy happened is that I became partners with some really tough business guys, and they saw me coming a mile away, and they saw a lot of their franchisees coming a mile away, and they set them up for failure. And I would say more than a dozen franchisees were set up to fail so the shop could be taken back by head office and then resold and refinanced. So it was a modus operandi this guy had that I didn't see. I thought he was doing it to other people. He wouldn't do it to me because I was such a golden child, and I was so good. And I would say, you'd never do that to me. And then he did it to me. And it was such a hit. And there was this father figure that just took me out. And then I sat in I call it the emotional long drop of victimization. When you smell like shit and everybody around you smells like shit because you're just swimming in shit and you're just so feeling so bad for yourself. Yeah. That you're low, bro. You're low. And you just can't see yourself coming out of it. And so after about 2 years of that, and I just didn't know how to make money, dude. I mean, I went from fancy house, fancy car to I couldn't pay 6,000 rand rent. And this was 31, 32 years old living in Cape Town. It was devastating to my ego, dude. Like devastating to my confidence. I went celibate. I was like, jeez, I just couldn't operate. Anyway, slowly I got a little client to help with consulting, and there were restaurants, and immediately the restaurant did well. And I was almost like shocked and surprised that I had all that knowledge inside me, but I totally forgotten about it because I was so down. And it became another restaurant and another restaurant, and then it became a construction company and an accounting company. And all of a sudden I started getting these people coming to me asking me to work with their businesses that weren't in hospitality, and they were just in all sorts of different businesses. And I started realizing that there was a common thread between how consumers wanted to engage with brands, no matter what you were selling, whether it was a product or a service. Consumers' need states are very, very similar, no matter what they're engaging with. And so I started helping businesses understand these consumer trends, and I started making a presentation out of it. And this presentation was most people wanted me to do. So they kept asking me to do this presentation. This presentation got me so many contracts. It was a 45-minute whiteboard session talking about the different markets in the world, how you create new teams, how do you create new consumer trends. So it was just a system that I came up with. And slowly that system, they kept asking me to do it. So I kept doing it, and that became a talk. And people were really enjoying the talk. And so my stories were cool about them, and I had different stories, and I had little chirps here and there. And I think the information was so unique because I'd never been to university. I'd never studied a BCom. I hadn't done those things because it just wasn't my path. And that became a book, and that book became a bestseller. And that bestseller moved me into becoming a faculty member at Singularity University in San Francisco. And then it just rocketed. And so now I don't even live in South Africa. I live between Switzerland and Dubai, and I move around the world doing talks and writing books. Look, I think all of you saying is perfect, but also what I did in the background was I did 3 years of money coaching. I changed my relationship with the energy of money. And I think that's vital to understand, is that money needs direction and purpose and capacity. In other words, what do you want it for? How much of it do you want? And how much of it can you hold in your capacity? Because often what people do is they want, but the minute the money comes into the account, it's gone. They didn't even know how to hold the capacity of that money. So I think it's the hunger, great. But remember, the right type of hunger. And then on top of it is building the capacity to hold money, make money, and be friends with money. Because I think a lot of us, when we didn't come from money, this money was this elusive energy. And it was with those people and it wasn't with us. And because we were frustrated that money wasn't coming to us, we directed that anger towards rich people. And subtly inside our minds, we would be like, he's got a Ferrari, he must have stolen it, or he's just like a dog, or like, you know, she got a huge contract, she must have slept away to it. Or we would always be not always, I'm saying some poor people, you would demean other people's wealth. And so I definitely did that. And I didn't realize by demeaning other people's wealth, just even if it was secretly, I was not allowing myself to make money, because if I wanted to, I would need to be a thief or sleep my wealth to the top. I was giving the narrative of money. And so I think we do this subtly, and we do it not only with money, we do it with social capital as well, is that people who've got more views than us, there's a subtlety around how the hell did she get that or he get that? And so we have this layering that we need to become very clear on and bring it to the surface. So building social capital, building health capital, building money capital, all of these are very individual relationships that we have with each one of them. And so I've been very precise about understanding each one of them so that I can change them, so I can develop more capacity for more wealth and more fame and more health.
So let's talk about that relationship with money, because at the end of the day, it is based on your value system and where you're anchoring things and your goals, obviously your purpose, your vision, and your goals. So when you started changing the whole perception of the money game.
Sure. So the first thing I learned is that in order to bring any money into your life, you need to feel joy towards the subject that you're wanting to attract, whether it's money, a relationship, whatever. You got to feel joy. And how joy is described with 3 different emotions. It's not just being happy. Joy is being excited, it's being at ease, and it's loving the subject matter that you want. So let's take it up. So at night, part of the practice that I was given was at night, what I had to do was imagine myself for 2 minutes, I put an alarm clock on, to be excited that money was coming. Okay? Then for 2 minutes, I would feel at ease that money was coming. I had to feel at ease. And then third, I had to take money, physical money, hold it and say, I love you, man. You've done nothing wrong to me. I forgive people that have hurt me. Money's never done anything to harm me, right? Okay. Then you think of the other side. What's the opposite of excitement? Depression. What's the opposite of ease? Anxiousness. What's the opposite of love? Fear. So what do we mostly do? We feel depressed that we don't have enough of it. We feel anxious that not more of it is coming. And we don't like people who have it and it comes so easy to them, secretly. Because if we had a great relationship with money, we'd never feel angry with them. That wouldn't fit in there. So what I've done is every time I get to when I used to get to a point of feeling anxious or depressed or sad or angry with people with money, I realized that those 3 emotions weren't making up. Dale, you're such a chop. Dale's my friend saying, I love you. Dale, next time you're on a webinar, Dale.
What's up, guys? You just joining us. Welcome to it. Upfront with Kat, and we interviewed John Sanei.
So Dale's a good friend of mine. So what you have is you have this opportunity to not worry about goals, not worry about levers and attitudes and values. No, your emotions. That's the only thing you must do. You must constantly feel excited, at ease, and in love with money. And then you bring it. And whatever else, fame, whatever. But the minute you move into anxiousness, depression, or fear, or lack, it moves away from you. It immediately reflects off you. And so I did that for maybe a year every night before going to bed. 2 minutes excitement, 2 minutes ease, 2 minutes love. And you know, Kaz, my financial situation has done a 180 degree. Why? Because I worked at the underlying values of it. You know, now I earn dollars mostly, and I live internationally, and I travel business class. And all of this was stuff that as a young guy, you would imagine it, but think how. I remember thinking, how do people afford a Mercedes-Benz? Like, how much money do you need to have even have a Mercedes-Benz? And you know, Mercedes-Benz back when I was a kid was 23,000 Rand. I couldn't think how you could have 23,000 Rand. So I think, look, the drama triangle is a well-known documented triangle. I've written about it, and it's helped me become aware of the 3 emotional states that we find ourselves in when we are in what I call the invisible helmet of victimization. We don't even know we're doing it. It's become so natural for us to think like this, this, and this. It's become a habit to think like that. And that's a huge problem, because that habit keeps replaying itself. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says your body becomes your mind. In other words, your body decides to follow that habit without you even having management of it. Because you've done it for so long, it's just become a habit. So,
in essence, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So the drama triangle is a 3-pointed characteristic light bulb moment for me. The first part of the triangle on top is the victim. Poor me. Poor me because I came from a poor family. Poor me because I didn't have a rich dad. Poor me because whatever. Poor me. Poor me because I didn't get enough views on my videos. Whatever. You know? Doesn't help. And we almost feel like it is going into a hot bath when we think about like that sort of stuff, because what it does, it relaxes our brain. Our brain feels comfortable going through that routine over and over and over. In my first book, I call it peeing in your nappy, because what you do is the very first 3, 4, 20 seconds of you peeing in your nappy is the best feeling, because you warm up and it's cool. And then straight after that, it's the worst feeling ever in your life, right? Because now you're feeling soggy and sorry for yourself because you started that thought of victimization. So that's the first one. The second one is, and the reason I said peeing in your nappy, because when you do it, have a laugh at yourself. Ah, there I was peeing in my nappy again. You know, make it a joke. Make it light. I have no idea, because I haven't worn a nappy since I was 2. So anyway, I thought it was a good story as an analogy. Yeah. Okay. I think maybe somewhere I was cold somewhere, and I thought if I peed myself for the first 20, 30 seconds, I'm winning. But after that, it's terrible. Anyway, the second point is savior. Yeah. Is when you're in the drama triangle, you need to constantly be looking for people to save, because they're less than you, and they can only be saved by you, and that's the only way you can bring your value to the world. So you're constantly looking for victims to save because you know better. It's called being sympathetic, not empathetic. I know, you don't. And so what happens is you naturally attract victims, because victims are looking to be saved. So it's this, and you keep finding them. And then what people say is like, oh, all guys, like girls I speak to, like all guys, they just need saving. I'm like, yeah, because you're coming in as a savior. You're creating a victim, and that role plays out, and then you complain about him. Like, come on. And look, I've just come out of a relationship maybe a few months ago, but a 3-year on and off relationship. And I realized I was playing savior, and she was, and I used to complain that she doesn't want to do anything. And I was like, I created that whole dynamic. And then the third one is anger. Angry with you, angry with me, angry with them, just angry. It's easy to be angry. And right now we see it online. Angry with the government, angry with the economy. You're like, dude, don't you see that you're just playing out a drama triangle, throwing your toys out the cot, showing your lack of emotional intelligence, that you're not maneuvering through, you're fighting against. It doesn't work. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Then you have the creator triangle. And the creator triangle is not victim, but creator. Where's the opportunity? Where do I see an opportunity that I can create out of this? Not because I'm scared, but I'm running towards. Third one, I don't feel sorry for people. I want to empower people. Best example is Oprah. She doesn't feel sorry for women. She wants to empower women. She runs schools, and she's hardcore. You know, she's not coming looking for poor women. She's like, let's go. Shut up, let's go. And it's almost like a Black American woman. They're all like that. Like, let's go. Shut up. Like Trevor Noah makes a laugh of it all the time. It's like, if you've got a black mother, you'll know exactly. You're not coming up with any shit. And then the last one is create a savior to being empathetic and being a coach. And then anger to challenger is, how do I challenge myself to be better? How do I challenge other people to improve? And how do I move and hold them accountable and hold myself accountable? So every time I now fall into the trap of feel sorry for myself, and this happened, and I made a video about it. I made a video about the fact that when I saw people with more views than me and more followers, and it's social capital, right? So I've swapped my social capital from a Rolex and a Ferrari to views on videos because I'm human, and that's just what it is. But I found myself feeling sorry for myself and then angry with them. What? They didn't do anything, but I'm secretly bastard, bitch, useless, shit, whatever. Like, what am I doing? And so social capital was a very big one that I realized, I picked up on quickly, that I was in a drama triangle. And the very next day, DJ, big South African DJ, he DJs with Euphonic. DJ Euphonic. Euphonic posts about my book and says, hey, I don't even know this guy, but his book's amazing. You should all read it. And that happened within 12 hours of me releasing the drama triangle. Yeah. And so also remember that in the energy world and the emotion world, there's no space, there's no time. Once it happens, it happens. The reflection point happens quickly. And so you realize that if the outside world is not reflecting back to you as quickly as you would want it to, just go back and fix. Go back there. Don't be angry there. Go back there and then watch it happen, because it happens like this.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about this is that, so having come up and been famous at a young age, but famous for the wrong reasons, like you said, hungry for the wrong reasons. It's all about the fame, the house in Bedford.
Attention. I just want attention. I'm desperate for attention.
And then when you're all alone, you're so alone. You're like so empty, But anyway, having gone through ups and downs and finally growing up, being a father, whatever, and almost being thankful that there was no social media back in the day. Because yes, millions and millions
very thankful.
could have been known for the wrong things. Whereas now, look at this. A beautiful opportunity, like the lockdowns here, we're writing down the goals, what I've been procrastinating about. Yes, I've been sitting on the tables about getting the shows going and everything else. And all of a sudden I thought, why am I waiting for somebody else? When what I'm trying to do is actually just share this truth, this that I'm feeling. I'm a vessel of this. Start it, don't wait. And I just took the one step, the vibe about you take a step and the universe takes 1,000 to meet you. That's exactly what's happened. Did the song Strength Out of Struggle. Started doing these interviews. People are taking note because it's authentic. And you're not doing it for any ulterior motive. It's just like you want everyone to be empowered. I see that in you now. You come through ups and downs, and I see that you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to say, look at me, I'm empowered. You don't have to tell them nothing. They can feel. You know what I'm saying? So
it's a great saying, Kaz. It says, your actions are so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's what it is. It's like, look, don't listen to what I'm saying. If you want to listen, great. If you want to read my stuff, great. But I'm practicing everything. And I can only actually teach it and talk about it and structure it in a way that's mine when I've practiced it. I can't kid. I can't. The analogy is like peeing in your nappy. I mean, how do I make that up? But I want to understand it so well. I'm trying to bring an analogy that brings it so well so it lands for me. So I realize that.
I'm trying to think if I remember you being in a nappy at some point. And there's a memory there somewhere.
No, it's not something you want to bring up here, Kaz.
Okay, so since we saw each other, so we all came out of the fitness industry and stuff, and I went on to study wellness and the 7 dimensions of wellness. And what I've realized is, unless people are balanced in all these dimensions, and it's not just fitness, it's mental wellness, social wellness, occupational, environmental, it's everything. How do you take care of all your areas of wellness, and how important do you think it is to be a balanced individual, for it to effectively change your success and your impression on the world?
Great question. I think the only one you have to worry about is your emotional energy, the one from your heart. Because once you get that right, once you access that, it gives you access to different versions of you. Because the other versions of you are still in your head or in your ego. When you can get this out the way and that out the way, and I'm talking about healing your memories, is becoming peaceful with your past, being thankful for the teachers that arrived. And I call them the black angels, being thankful to the black angels that arrived. Jesus, a bee right here. Yo, 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 yo. Okay. And
just be.
B, exactly. Exactly. You're right. You're right. Thank you. Thank you. I like
Just
that. Thanks
be.
for the reminder. So I think once you can get that right, it becomes obvious what career you should have. It becomes obvious what fitness you should have. You won't want to eat yourself to death or eat badly or drink yourself to death every day, because when you get into that state of curiosity, excitement, and what shines brightest for you, everything else starts fitting into the pattern without you trying. So me waking up in the morning and going for a run in the forest, it's not a question. It's like, it's part of what I need to do. It's a schedule. It's a discipline, because I want to be looking after me so that I can create more energy for flow, to teach, to write, to exchange ideas, to be abundant, to make money, to travel. I need a body that's in a good place. And so once I access that energy, fitness, career, money, all of it else just fits. So for me, the only thing you should do is work on that. And once you got that, it moves.
So if anyone has just joined us, this is Upfront with Kaz. I'm interviewing John Sanei, well-known speaker, writer, and entrepreneur as well. We're talking about the ups and downs of life, and also the thing that we've pointed to, that we've come down to, is your EQ, your emotional intelligence. If that's not correct, and in fact, if you are aware of how you're feeling, and if you're feeling bad, you'll soon check your mind and you're thinking of something bad. So your emotion will direct you, and sort of like a magnifying glass, it'll show you what's up. How do we create strong emotional anchors? Do we go back in the past? Do we remember good emotions that we anchor onto? Or what is your secret into staying in the zone?
I think all of us our perspectives are profoundly affected by the stories we tell ourselves and the ones we remember. And this is just memories. And so what has happened is that memories have created our perspectives and our projections and our expectations. So all of it relies on you healing your memories. Every single memory that you have that de-energizes you and takes you out of the state of excitement needs to be focused on. So recently in science, they've proven that 50% of your memories are false. And I'll go even one step further and be audacious and say all your memories are false, because all of them are just subjective stories. They're not like, you and I will have a different memory of this. The people who have listened to this have a different memory. Which memory is right? Yeah. The memory that you projected onto and created based on a past memory. Yes. And so that memory keeps compound affecting, getting more stronger within your psyche. And so the only thing, again, for me, has been go back to your memories. Don't figure out which is false or not. Figure out which energizes you and which doesn't. Take the ones that energize you and bank them and be grateful for them. Take the ones that don't energize you and heal them. Because everybody in your past, look, my dad, let's talk about my dad. My dad comes from a violent family, maybe. I don't know specifically, but he was violent with us when he was younger. He didn't have an emotional state that was calm. He was temperamental. He was angry a lot. He used to hit us. And so for 40 years, I hated him. I just wanted to knock him. And then at 40, I had to get to the point where I realized, look, he was a young oak, dude. He got put under major pressure from a young age to pay for a family. He didn't have time to heal his emotional stuff. He got bedonnered, so he wanted to bedonnered. And he was in a religious state that made sex so bad. So he carried a shadow around sexuality, and maybe still does. But so once I started realizing the empathy that I needed to have for him and the pedestal that I'm putting him on, was unfair of me to have expected what I expected and then feel sorry for myself that I didn't get that from him. And so I had to release that. And the minute I released that, dude, I'm like,
you know, that is
big
so
up there.
Because I had a conversation, I sent a message to my kids. Just as the awareness blossoms, you start seeing yourself in a different perspective, because children are a reflection and you often pass on the sins of the father.
Jeez, not often. I think always.
I sent a message that basically what I said was, as I realize, as I'm more aware, I realize how messed up the things I did were. I just thought it was normal. I didn't know any better, like, because I learned from someone that didn't know any better. And I've hated that person, I've hated that part in me. But just know that by me seeing it in myself and forgiving myself and knowing that I never choose to be that in any way to anybody is such a big shift, a paradigm shift, because it's changing habitual things. It's changing how we perceive things, our relationship to money, to thought, to life, to love.
You said something there. You said to forgive yourself because it was the best thing you could do. And I think ultimately, even when when I was running my restaurants, I was very hot-headed, and I was being taught by gangsters. I mean, these were gangsters they had guns cocked by their coffee machines, like proper gangsters back in the 90s. And I was in restaurants with them, so I didn't know better, dude. I didn't want to shave my head. They made me shave my head because they didn't have hair. So they made us a gang. Anyway, so I was doing all that, and shit. I was hectic with my staff, and I was hectic with people. And when I used to see my staff from before, I used to apologize, and then I changed. I stopped apologizing. I went to them and said, look, it was the best I could do, man. I was in a tough place. If anything impacted you, let's chat about it. But ultimately, I've changed. I just want to let you know that I was in a different place then. And I think what that does, it doesn't come back going, I'm so sorry, or so wrong, or so, because also what that does, it diminishes the best that you were. And if there's no time and only the forever now, if we diminish any parts of our past, we diminish our now and our future.
Exactly.
So none of our past can be diminished.
Yes, because life is about momentum. So
Yes.
you want to look at that momentum of the positive energy and the flow. And that's why seeing people from your past that you had this positive moment with you, like I'd see it, I'll be like, hold on a second, it wasn't all bad. Some people just come up to you, go like, hey, it's you. I'm like, so in your mind, you're like, no, but I was an asshole. Don't love me, don't like me.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of time like that where
Yeah.
I just didn't want to see people.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to come back on the screen because I thought I was such an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now the love is there, and you just want to share it because you're like, yo, guys, don't be so hard on yourself. But do be aware. Do be aware.
Look, I think it's great to share, but I also think that you need to have a very clear directive on the end result of what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
Because I think with that clarity, you can impact more, you have access to more energy, you're just in a different place, There's a monkey going past my window. It's living on a farm, bro. Anyway, so I think clarity of where you're going and why you're putting all this energy into it is key, Kaz. So the more clarity you have on that, the more capacity you can hold that sort of energy. And like, look, the last talk I gave was for the Global CIO Conference in Amsterdam for Gartner. Gartner is one of the world's #1 trend and consultants organizations out there. And they chose me as their keynote as one of their top conferences in Amsterdam, one of the world's top cities. And, to get there, to think that I'm worth that money, to be flown in that flight, to stay at that hotel, to get paid that money in front of those people who are super smart from around Europe, I was so much internal work, so much directive and clarity of what I wanted to do. And I think that's also important because I think giving is wonderful, but with direction and with boundary. Look, ultimately, I think it's a two focused plan, two goals. The one goal is, and the first goal is to figure out what you're most excited about and start to combine those in order to be able to dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your calling. And what happens when you dive deeper and deeper and deeper, you almost become a specialist by mistake because you pop out on the other side and you've become a thought leader, but not because you try to be a thought leader. It's just that you dug deeper and deeper and you're like, oh my God, I just know more than most people around me. And when I first started talking, I didn't realize that other people didn't think like me. I thought everybody thought like me. I was like, what do you mean you can't see that? Like, and they're like, no, we've never thought of it like that. I was like, oh, geez, I didn't realize. But it was because I dug deep, 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 deep. That's one. And then two, you should always set your goals just out of your comfort zone, not all the way there, just out. So I remember like my fee for speaking, I went from I started off at 29,000 Rand a talk. And I was like, okay, I moved to 34,000 Rand a talk. And then I was like, okay, 42,000 Rand a talk. I wasn't going, okay, 200,000. was like, I needed to be comfortable with it. And also when I get up on stage, I wanted to know that I could hold that audience's attention, and they were paying me 42,500 Rand, and that was my expectation. And that's where I was going to give my sort of expertise on. But then I moved it up, and now I'm in the lots of thousands of dollars. And in that space, what I did was two things: dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then slowly move my goal this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So it's a progress. It's like running, I guess, you know. It's like you run every day, you diet every day, you get better at running, and then you realize, look, I can do 10 kilometers in 45 minutes, which means I want to then do it in 40 minutes and then in 37. And so it's exactly the same. It's like I dive deeper and I make goals and move slowly forward in the same time.
Yeah.
Healing my memories, fixing my relationship with money, understanding manhood, forgiving myself and forgiving my past, and having more clarity on where I want to go. And it's almost like preparing an athlete for an Olympics. You've got about 9 people around this person. One's massaging, one's dieting, one's psychology, one's sprinting, one's powerlifting, and it's this constant everyday touch point that you need to be doing with stretching yourself forward, healing your past, fixing another relationship, being inspired a little bit more. So the silver bullet is that you have to do it every day, every moment of every moment of every moment of every moment, bro. There's nothing else.
So before you go, while I got your face on, if anyone's watching now, follow me here at Picasso, and on YouTube, Kaz Abrams, one of productions. John, what's upcoming books? Tell us what to expect. What can people look out for?
So I was writing my 4th book called Evolution of Value, which kind of happened just before COVID-19. So I stopped writing that book, and I started writing a trilogy called the Future Series Trilogy. And what I want to do with that is I've already written 2 of the books, Future Now and Future How. I'm busy writing Future Next. And they are 40-page quick reads for a couple of reasons. One, I think our attention spans are all just become smaller and shorter because there's so much going on. Also, things are changing at such a pace. I can't write books longer than that because within 3 weeks and 4 weeks, everything's changed. So I think that is the future. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting this trilogy together, and then I'm going to put it into a real book and a proper book when this COVID-19's done. And as soon as this is done, I'm going back to Dubai. And then next year, March or so, I'm moving to Switzerland for about 4 months. And I'll live between Dubai and Switzerland, and then keep moving around the world and doing stuff online. So teaching more, writing more, speaking more. I've got a business called Future Self Academy, growing that more. And that's kind of the plan, to be decentralized and nomadic.
It's a beautiful thing. And for me, as your brother, I'm so proud. And it's inspirational as well. So
thank you.
We'll see you on the journey, because, surround yourself with the right people.
That's right.
Thank you so much, John Sanei, for joining us.
Thank you, Kaz. Thank you, brother.
See you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, man. Lots of love. Ciao. Ciao.
Guys, thank you for joining us on Upfront with Kaz. It was amazing. John Sanei had him talking about the ups and downs. I've known him from a teenager. If you're still watching, please don't forget to follow Picasso and check me out on YouTube. These are new formats. We've been out of the limelight for a while. We're back. The whole thing Upfront with Kaz is based around strength out of struggle and getting great minds to share. So I'm talking to as many minds in all the different industries, from music to wellness to mental, all the 7 dimensions of wellness. This is just the beginning. After lockdown, we're moving to our proper studios. I'm glad that you guys could join us. I hope you got something out of today. For me, Kaz, I'd like to say goodbye and a beautiful day for you. Peace.